Hey everyone, it's Clint. Welcome to Sweetcast. I want to give my 2 cents about royalties. This is a strange video because I'm not at home. There happens to be a big giant Monopoly game here, and so this is going to be our background for the video. But we're actually talking about royalties, so maybe Monopoly is a good example here to use to talk about it. So I've been seeing on Twitter and some of the articles bouncing around and the Perch video about royalties right now, and some comic creators getting screwed out of royalties. I've seen extremes in my short time in the comic book world. I've seen extremes. I've seen people that are on one end of the extreme getting no royalties. They're working for basically for free because it's a good opportunity. They're going to get exposure, and they do a book. The book makes money. They should make some money, but they don't because either the writer or the publisher is taking all the money, right? You've heard stories like that. Jack Kirby's famous for getting screwed by not getting royalties, though he was getting paid a page rate. On the other end of the spectrum, I have seen artists, it's usually artists, but they essentially are being hired for a book and in indie comics, and they want everything. They want a page rate, they want to get paid upfront, they want to get paid after the book sells, they want to get paid in perpetuity, and they want all the credit for what it is that they're creating. I'm actually shocked at how often that is the case. Not that they actually get that, but that is the demand. So I guess if you're going by the art of the deal, you're going to ask for the world, and then if you land somewhere short of that, I guess you're still doing okay. Maybe that's the mindset. I don't know. The reality is a publisher needs to make money, okay? Otherwise, they're not going to publish the book. If they're financing it, if they're paying you a page rate, that money has to come from somewhere. So somebody is taking a risk to produce a comic book. Should they get rewarded for that risk? Yes, absolutely. Otherwise, they're going to stop making those risks. They're going to stop paying up front. So that could be a publisher. Okay, they could be, in some cases, paying tens of thousands of dollars ahead of time before they know if a book's going to sell at all, in order to pay an artist and a writer and whatever, a creative team, to get the book made. The publisher needs to get paid. This is capitalism. That's how it works. The pure fact of them owning the IP that they've spent years in production building up, they deserve to get paid. People don't talk about that at all, but a publisher needs to get paid. Okay, there's massive risk involved. Second, when you get down to the creative team, so sometimes the publisher, much of the time, especially in indie comics, the publisher is the writer. Why does that happen that way? I don't know, because writers have, I guess, more time on their hands, and because usually writers aren't getting work for hire. So you got to make your own work. So if you can do that, you're taking a risk. Writers should get paid for being the publisher. If you're, working your things out this way, like I do, you should also get paid for writing the book. So there's that. Should you get royalties? Well, if it's your IP, yes, you should. So let's talk about artists, because this is where most of the discussion comes in. Should artists work for free, hoping for back-end pay? No. Everybody will tell you that that's a terrible deal. You should never work for free in hopes that you'll get back-end royalties, unless this is your first comic book and you need to build a name for yourself. You have to get scrappy if that's the case. And yeah, you might get screwed your first project, or it might not sell anything. You're working for free and it sells nothing. But you get the experience. Hopefully you've done some good pages you can put in your portfolio. That's an internship. And I think that's okay. It's up to you though. No one else is going to make you do it. It's your decision. So beyond that, you have to make a decision. You're going to get paid, but you're not going to get paid everything. You got to pick. Are you going to go for a big page rate? Do you deserve to get paid $1,000 a page for line art? If that's what you're going for, then ask for it, and maybe you'll get it. Hopefully you'll get that massive page rate. but you're going to have to expect to pay for it in royalties. There's no way somebody's going to take that big of a risk paying you $1,000 a page and then also give you fantastic royalties after the fact. That would be insane. That would be a stupid publisher, because they're taking on all the risk and none of the reward, or very little of the reward. It makes no sense. So that's not really a realistic setup, okay? Unless you want page rate. That's what is important to you. So usually what you see in indie comics is, if you're going with a publisher that's unproven, or if there's an artist that's paying you and you don't expect the book to sell very well, you're going to opt for the page rate as high as you can possibly get it, because you're not expecting any royalties after the fact, okay? So you're going to go for that page rate. So let's say that it is a proven entity. They're creating a new series and you think, hey, this is a good opportunity, or I'm creating new characters here. I want to get some of that royalty action. But of course, you're still making the thing, so you got to get a page rate. You have to talk about royalties. So the point in all of this is, I think you have to look at projects as a whole. You have to make sure that there's a contract, and whatever it says in the contract, you're cool with. You got to think about it. What happens if you start a book that you don't expect to sell super well, and it sells and makes a movie? Let's say that there's millions of dollars that come afterward, right? That would be the dream. If it says in your contract that you are entitled to none of that, then you can't be upset when you get none of that, because that's what you said in your contract. So the onus is on you to read the contract. If you're an indie comic creator and you think, well, contracts are really confusing, they're really not. You just have to write down what the expectations are and make it clear. And I would plan for what happens if this book makes no profit and it's a total flop. What happens? Well, the artist is going to get X amount on a page rate and X amount royalties. And, even if they're getting 100% of royalties and you're making 0 royalties because the book didn't sell, that's what they get, 0. So you have to consider, what if this book is a major failure? What happens? Okay? Who's taking on that risk? All right? Now, you're going to pick everything in between. Maybe there's some royalties, maybe your crowdfunding campaign does okay, maybe you get picked up by a publisher, so on and so on. You've got to figure out, in those situations, what do you get? Where do the benefits go? Okay? And then all the way up to one end of the spectrum, even though you might think, I'm never going to sell this book and make a movie or a video game franchise or whatever. I'm never going to be making hundreds of millions of dollars. But what if you do? Okay? So you have to figure out both ends of the spectrum, write it all out, spell it all out, and then you shouldn't be upset. No one should be upset when afterward the contract is followed. Okay? So having said that, I think if you're the one writing the contract, it's good to be fair to everybody. Make sure that artists and writers are incentivized to work on the project and do their best work, because that's going to increase everyone's chances of making the most money, right? So my only gripe is that if you make a contract and you say this is how it's going to be, and you stick to that contract, nobody should be upset. That's the point. Anyway, thanks for watching my video. Really appreciate it. I'm working to get Downcast 3 out. It's been kind of a nutty, different week. So apologies for videos being few and far between, but I will see you in the next one.